It's being proposed that a new offence of predatory sexual assault be created and incorporated in existing legislation in order to broaden the protection of the nation's most vulnerable. The recommendation for the creation of this new offence is one of several brought forward by a joint select committee appointed to complete the review of the Sexual Offences Act, along with the Offences Against the Person Act, the Domestic Violence Act, and the Child Care and Protection Act. Here's a look at some of the other issues brought forward in the report. If predatory sexual assault is stipulated as a new offense, it would penalize any adult who engages in sexual intercourse with a vulnerable victim. Senator Kamina Johnson-Smith explained further to members of the Senate.
Defined as whether a child under the age of 12, someone with mental disorder, the description of vulnerable is dealt with elsewhere, Mr. President. Such a person would be guilty of an offense to be known as predatory sexual assault, and the recommended penalty for this offense would be a maximum sentence of life imprisonment. Mr. President, this provision was a result of a very again, robust debate on the matter of rape and its definition and how much protection is given under our laws, and the perpetuation of what is referred to in some quarters as a rape culture, Mr. President, where use of benign terms such as sexual intercourse with a person under 16 so remove all of the impact and trauma that can occur around such an incident, where especially the relationship is one of trust and confidence. The committee was not minded to adopt the phrase used elsewhere, which is statutory rape, and there was in fact, there was ultimately an agreement that the creation of this offense, this language, would provide an issue, or rather a consensus around which persons could agree.
The recommendation for the creation of this new offence is one of several brought forward by a joint select committee led by Justice Minister Delroy Chuck. Senator Johnson-Smith noted that the committee also deliberated on the matter of marital rape.
Married women who are raped by their husbands will no longer have to fulfill certain conditions to qualify for legislative protection. The committee recommended that once a woman has withheld her consent in a relationship, irrespective of whether it occurs in marriage or not, it is to be considered rape. Among other things, Mr. President, it was recognized that rape is an act of violence, and marriage is an institution which must be fostered in a context of love and mutual respect, not violence.
Majority of the committee agreed to retain the age of consent at 16 years.
There was deep and robust discussion on this issue, Mr. President, and in fact I believe it may have been the only issue on which we felt compelled to call for a vote within the committee. And the majority view was that it would remain at that age, at that level. The committee has, however, on a related matter, decided to recommend the inclusion of a close-in-age provision of a 4-year ban, and this is again in the context of the Sexual Offences Act, Mr. President, which you know criminalizes sex under the age of 16. What was proposed is a 4-year ban to prevent children within a certain age range from being criminalized in circumstances where they willingly engage in sexual activity with each other. The fundamental point being, Mr. President, not to encourage this type of activity, but recognizing that its treatment by the justice system, the criminal justice system, is inappropriate and delivers poor results from all perspectives. Poor results in respect of the use of police resources, poor impacts on both young men and young women, and the unintended consequences of criminal records for activity which, even if ill-advised, is perhaps better treated as a social issue than a criminal one.
The committee also recommended that the Sexual Offences Act be amended to place an obligation on persons who enter Jamaica and have been convicted of a sexual offence abroad or have been listed on a sex offenders register abroad to report to the relevant authorities and be listed on the sex offenders registry in Jamaica.
The committee also recognized significant weaknesses in the operation of the registry and therefore recommended expressly that the Ministry of National Security conduct a thorough review of the administration and operation of the registry.
Other recommendations call for a strengthening of penalties for offences against women, children and elderly persons living with disabilities, the strengthening of penalties, particularly in relation to aggravated assault and murder of pregnant women, the creation of a criminal offence of stalking and harassment.
The matter of corporal punishment was also discussed extensively, and the position that has been recommended by the committee and was agreed to by the Ministry of Education, Youth and Information was that we were at a stage where we should move beyond the corporal punishment being prohibited only in early childhood institutions, which is the state of our current law, and that we should explicitly prohibit it in schools, public institutions for the care, instruction, or guidance of children who are in the care of the state. Also in public places was recommended by the committee.
Following debate on the report by government and opposition senators, the report was adopted, which Senator Johnson Smith noted will now pave the way for the completion of the requisite legislative amendments.